So this week is Mental Health Awareness Week 2022 and we're joined by our development manager, Sej. Now Sej's role with us here involves looking after employee wellbeing and employee welfare. So Sej, if you could sort of explain your background, your experiences and why mental health means so much to you.
So my background is actually that I've got a degree in psychology and law. I've also qualified as a coach. I previously used to work with children and young people with autism and ADHD, and that was around working with negative emotions and helping them address things like anger and how to deal with those things. I also work with people privately, so coaching on mindset, personal development, paradigms, and that's what I bring here to the company as well. So I'm working with individuals with their mindset and helping them become the best version of themselves and achieving their goals with a different way of looking at things. And I work with everybody on a one-to-one monthly, and we just work through things that might be bothering them or concerns or any issues like mental health problems. So we're just working through those.
First sort of question I want to ask is what is the importance of mental health in and out of the workplace?
So I believe that the importance of mental health is to give us purpose, direction, and also energy to do the things that we want to do. It helps us reach our full potential and face life challenges and any obstacles that come along our way if we've got good mental health.
The next question I sort of want to ask is what are the early signs of mental illness and what are the indicators? So obviously there's physical and behavioural and emotional ones, but could you talk about the physical ones first?
Yes, of course. So physical signs of mental health illness are things like stomach aches, frequent headaches, minor illnesses, lack of sleep, or somebody not taking care of their appearance. Also things like constantly worrying and anxiety as well.
And so obviously you've talked about the physical ones, but also mental health isn't something you can always see. So what are the emotional and behavioural indicators of early warning signs of mental health?
So sometimes people might suffer from anxiety and stress, as I've mentioned before. There's also things like people misusing drugs and alcohol, feeling tired constantly, and extremes of emotion. So somebody might feel extremely angry or extremely sad. So those are also parts of mental health illness as well. And as I said, you can't always see those.
Obviously, we just talked about the physical warning signs and the behavioural and emotional warning signs. So let's say, for example, you notice those warning signs in a colleague or one of your friends or one of your family members. How would you then go about supporting them?
I think the first thing is to take the time out to listen to that person and listen without judgment. That's important. You want to reassure the individual, and also if you feel that it's something that you can't actually deal with or support on, then I would say to advise them to go to a GP and seek professional help.
And would you approach it in different ways depending on who the person was, or would you have a single approach to everyone?
I think it depends on your relationship with the person as well. Depending on who they are, like if it was somebody that was a teenager, you would approach it differently to an adult suffering from mental health illness. The biggest thing is to reassure that person that you're listening to them without judgment. I think that's the biggest thing, and let them talk to you with as much or as little information as they want to share with you. That's important, without asking too many questions, because they might not want to disclose certain information.
So Sej, since you've been here, you've been a great advocate for mental health. Everyone's noticed all the hard work you've put in. So what made you focus on mental health in the workplace, and why do you think it's so important here at the OM Group?
I think it's important because, first of all, I know people that have experienced their own mental health illnesses. I'm very passionate about supporting people with mental health. And the thing that I wanted to do was create an environment within the workplace which was happy, healthy, and without any stigma attached to discussing mental health. I wanted people to be able to openly talk about mental health illness without any judgment, and just to create that happy environment for everybody to be working in.
So we've just talked about why it's important to the OM Group, but what sort of advice would you give to other employers who may be struggling and don't know where to start in terms of safeguarding their employees' mental health?
I think the biggest thing is to create that atmosphere, first of all, create the environment where people can talk openly. And the other thing is to have the support to hand in a way that you can signpost people to the right kind of support. And just being able to talk about mental health openly is the biggest thing.
So obviously you mentioned the environment being a massive factor in it. What sort of advice would you give to employees to make an environment where it's more relaxed and people are more open and therefore they can talk about their mental health more openly?
I think it's things like this, when there is Mental Health Awareness Week, people are promoting it, people are putting posters up and people are discussing it openly. And just maybe in a team meeting, just saying that if somebody is suffering from mental health, who they can go to, and then if that person is able to talk openly, then they can be signposted to the right professionals.
So we've just touched on what other employers can do to promote mental health in their workplace. But as I mentioned earlier, you are yourself a great advocate for mental health. So what have you implemented here? And could you talk about the one-to-one coaching you do with us and the guide you sent out for us?
So I've sent out a guide to the whole team, and it's just touching on guidelines on how to look after your own mental health. Also to look for the warning signs amongst loved ones or colleagues to see if they might be suffering from mental health and what to do about it. I also do coaching with everybody individually, as you know. We have monthly sessions and we touch on things like mindset, paradigms, looking at well-being and how to become the best version of yourself. I've also been working towards the Thrive Award, so I've been having some input from the other members of the team, and we've just achieved the Thrive Foundation Award, so that's Thrive at Work. And we're now working towards the Thrive at Work Bronze Award, and there's a lot of things involved in that in terms of having the right policies in place, promoting mental health. I've also created a wellbeing action plan which is due to be rolled out and implemented within the team soon.
So what impact can loneliness have on your mental health?
The impact that it can have is somebody could feel stressed, they could have problems with sleeping, problems with eating. They might feel anxiety, low self-esteem, depression, and all of this can spiral out of control. A lot of people might think that loneliness has created their mental health illness, and then their mental health illness has then created them to feel lonely. So it's like a vicious cycle, so it's like neither one is more important than the other, but it's just that you feel that one has impacted the other, and then you feel that that one has then impacted feeling lonely.
So a total job survey stated that 63% of employees who felt lonely at work actually felt that their employer didn't do enough to help combat loneliness. So what can companies actually do to help combat it, and what can they do to support a lonely colleague?
I think with the current situation, and especially whilst we were going through the pandemic, a lot of people were working remotely, and I think that employers need to make sure that those people that are working remotely are still dialed into meetings. Employers should still be checking in on them to make sure that their well-being is important. And I would also say that it's important to create like a fun environment where you have like fun activity, team bonding days or afternoons, to create an environment where there is trust and empathy, where people can talk openly about mental health or their own mental health, or even to a colleague about problems that they might be going through. That's what's really important, in my opinion.
So as you mentioned the team bonding exercises, and here we do it quite frequently. I think from my own experience, I can say that did help me in terms of getting to know people and not sort of feeling so isolated. So would you recommend other companies implement that, and how often should they do stuff like that?
I think it's great to do something, maybe even like a pub night once a month, or a sporting activity like, I don't know, bowling or pool or snooker or something, maybe once a month. You might find that with bigger companies, they have smaller groups and like maybe smaller departments go out together. But I also think it is important for a company as a whole to do things together.